The deck lurches before dawn. Salt bites the open skin along your knuckles. Tar sticks to your cuffs. Your breath tastes of iron and smoke. A man coughs in the dark beside you, a deep, wet sound that has lived in him all winter. Someone lifts a lantern. The flame gutters and steadies. You see what the light always shows at this hour. Faces carved thinner than last month. Eyes swollen from wind and wakefulness. Lips split where the salt collects and stings. The ship stinks not of one thing, but of everything that rots slowly. Blubber scraps in hemp sacks. Fish brine gone sour. Old beer drawn from a barrel that should have been pitched over weeks ago. Clothes that never fully dry. Men who've forgotten what clean smells like. Tell me where you're listening from and the hour. Are you near the coast or far inland, where the air smells of dirt instead of brine, and your walls don't weep with damp by morning? Leave it below. Some nights, the only way a sailor knows he's still human is by the voice that answers back. It is the year 1623. Your ship is lean and hard-rigged, owned by men who stay ashore and count. You hunt in cold water, because cold water is where the fat rides thick on a whale's back. Right whales and bowheads mostly. No try-works burn on the deck. Not yet. In this century, you boil blubber ashore on stony beaches when you can find them, and you pack the oil into casks, tight with cooper hoops of oak and iron. At sea, you tow the carcass or cut the fat in long ribbons and stow what you dare until you find land enough to render. Until then, everything reeks. You live forward with the hands the forecastle where air goes to die. The wool in your blanket is salty and stiff. Rats work the biscuit chest at night and leave their black seeds in the flour. You crush the weevils between your teeth and keep chewing. No one complains. Complaining gets you nothing when the nearest mercy is a month of water away. Work begins before the light is sure of itself. Decks to scrub with sand and brine until they stop shining with grease. Rigging to tar. Your palms black and sticky, the taste of pitch rising up the back of your throat until you want to retch. Sails to mend where the gale worried them thin. Lines to coil, tubs to check, blades to edge. Harpoons hang above the blubber room, their points filed clean, each one a promise. The longer iron is for the first strike. The short lance is for finishing when the whale turns tired and the breath comes red. You learn to keep your feet away from the coil of line at your toes. If it takes you when it runs, it takes you quick around the ankle, a single jerk, and you're gone over the side so fast a man can't say your name. The mate speaks low and only once when he gives an order. The captain speaks less. He counts barrels and days without wind. He believes in profit. He does not much believe in men. You climb to the crosstrees and wedge yourself into the cold. The world below goes small and unsafe. The sea lies dark and heavy as beaten lead. Ice rides low to leeward silent white tables that break ships clean in half if you misjudge their edge. Your eyes burn with watching. You swallow the ache and keep watching. The boy Caleb does not yet know how to hide his softness. 15 years old, rope burns in perfect rings about his wrists. He stokes the galley flame with dead hemp and pitch scrap for heat enough to scald the morning porridge. His sleeves shine with grease where he's lifted blubber sacks by the corners. Older men call him gentle to his face and something else when he's gone below to heave. Breakfast is biscuit that turns to rock in your mouth unless you soak it. Salt beef that blots the tongue dry. Cheese gone to blue at the edges. You drink thin beer that has stopped pretending to be beer and tastes of the barrel it slept in. You do not waste time wishing for better. Men who wish starve faster than men who work. By noon, your arms are glass. The line tubs are checked, and checked again, because it is the line that kills you, if anything does. Oars lie ready in the whaleboats, blades worn pale from the cold and the bite of gritty water. The boat steerer sleeps with his hands wrapped up to the knuckle skin split from last week's pull. He does not speak when he wakes. He spits, tests the harpoon point with the fat of his thumb, and nods. You learn the ship by sound. How the hull complains in a head sea. How the pumps clack when the bilge needs working. How rope talks when it's about to part. A good sailor hears the blow of a whale before he sees it, the wet thunder of breath that rises hollow as a drum. The first man to call it gets a measure of respect that lasts the night. Afternoons stretch, long and grey. Men sit where the wind is least cruel and pick at their hands. Salt cracks the lips into little maps that bleed if you smile. You do not often smile. The surgeon travels among you with a box that stinks of spirits and oil. He has no talent for mending except to cut more pieces away than were broken. A blackened tooth goes to his knife. A swollen hand goes to his knife. A fever that won't break, he bleeds you, because that is what men do when there's nothing else to try, and they have to be seen trying. You lash casks tighter in the waist. The cooper taps the hoops with a wooden maul and listens for the pitch of a sound only he understands. Oil swells the wood. Iron bites the oak. The deck becomes a place of traps, slick corners, where a man who wants to live should never put his foot. Toward evening the wind falls strange and steady from the north, cold enough to bite the inside of your nose with every breath. The lanterns go up early. Flame shows the grease ground into every seam. You scrape it with sand and hope to raise a clean patch big as a plate. You fail. Night watch is long. You turn the glass. You count the slow rivers of stars and think nothing you can say out loud. In the lee of the galley, the fire whispers. You hold your hands over it until the skin tightens and shines. You swallow smoke and pretend it is warmth. You've heard every kind of talk. The iron-toothed old man who swears the whales talk to one another below the keel. The boy who says he saw a bowhead roll an entire shallop onto its side, calm as a man laying his head down to sleep. The mate who has a coin nailed to the foot of the mainmast and touches it every time he passes no luck in it. Just habit, and habit is what keeps men upright when luck runs thin. It is not courage that keeps you here. It is debt. The money you borrowed to join this cruise. The food you bought on credit before you left. The share you pray will be enough to pay both when the voyage is done, even knowing the owners will count the oil a second time, and the men only once. You piss over the rail and watch the ship's wake take the heat away before it can steam. Hands numb, knees stiff, back gone to stone from a day of standing under a sky that will not change. The first time a man goes overboard, you learn how fast a life can end without leaving a story. No splash you can swear you heard, just an empty place at mess, and a jacket still rolled where he kept it near the windlass. The captain writes his name in a book and closes it. The page goes damp in the corners and molds by month's end. There is a reason most sailors go quiet after dark. Words are dear. You save them for when they might help, and most nights they can't. You try to sleep in a length of canvas that pretends to be a bed. The damp climbs into your bones and nests there. Salt sores grow along your waistband, where cloth rubs flesh raw. When you turn, You wake the man above you with your shoulder against his boards. He swears. You do not answer. In the morning, you will both forget it. At the change of watch, the night lifts its head a little. Cloud breaks toward the east. You hear the lookout clear his throat high in the rigging. Once, twice. You listen because a throat cleared like that often comes right before the word men think they live for, and some men die on. There, a flat calm when the water should tremble. A shape too black to be ice. A breath that sounds like a kettle at full boil and yet colder than anything that ever came from a fire. The cry runs the length of the ship. There she blows. Low and long. Off the weather bow. Every man stands. Hands on oars, on line, on iron. The mate does not shout. He only nods and points, and the order runs sharper than a blast of wind. Boats to the davits. Tubs aboard. Harpoons passed hand-to-hand steel, shining thin as winter sun. You climb down into the shallop with the rest, knees already slick where grease lives on the gunwale. You study the coil at your feet and force it into the neatest figure you have left in you. If it snarls when the whale runs, the noose will choose a leg at random, and a leg is a man if the rope is angry enough. Oars out. Blades kiss water. 5 strokes and the cold climbs your arms like it means to live there. The ship slips behind you. Only the bow lifts and falls now, and the sound of men breathing through their teeth. Ahead, the sea parts in a long, slow ridge, a back bigger than anything a man should see and still think himself a hunter. A spout white against the dark. Another. 3 in a line. Your mouth goes dry. Whales travel in company. The mate's hand closes once on your shoulder and opens again. It is the only comfort you will be given today, and it is almost enough. Hold water. Drift. Let the weight of the boat do the last yards in silence. The boat steerer tests the iron in his hand. Point bright. Shank cold. He looks smaller than the work demands, and yet this is the shape the work chooses, a man who knows how to put steel where it must go and then live with what comes of it. The whale rolls. The world goes very quiet. The mate breathes once, like a man about to dive. His voice is nothing but rope when it comes. Stand by. The oars lift. The boat steadies timber ticking as it settles to its own small weight. You feel the cold creep through the planking into your feet. The whale rolls again, black water sliding off its back like oil over stone. Close now, closer than good sense. You smell it before you hear it, a rank breath like kelp and iron left to rot in a bucket. The boat steerer rises to his knees. He braces one foot against the thwart. His hands go still in a way that makes the world small. Now he drives the iron. The sound is not clean. It is meat and gristle and weight steel punching through a thing built to hold oceans. The whale flinches. The boat answers with a lurch that slaps you to the gunwale. The line hisses out, coils jumping, tightening, screaming through the chock with a sound like rope on fire. Hold. Hands up. Feet clear. You snatch your ankles back from the coil because you have seen what the line does when it chooses a man a twist, a bite, one pull, and there is nothing left of you but water closing. The loggerhead takes the strain. The tub shakes like something alive. The boat jerks forward so hard your teeth clack. You are no longer rowing. You are being dragged. The men call this running. Later, men from other coasts will name it better. But for now, it's just the part where the world goes to a blur, and you pray the knots hold. spray knives your face. The boat throws hard to each side as the whale drives. You taste blood where your lip splits against your teeth. You do not wipe it. Both hands on the line when the mate shouts off, when he shouts, and you must know which is which faster than thinking. The whale sounds. The line jerks down and the tub empties. The bitter end is turned to the cleat twice. A quick hitch, a half turn, and the boat heels so far you see the horizon on its side. Your world becomes a peg, a cleat, a prayer you are not allowed to say. Easy, easy, let him tow. The water above the whale boils. Bubbles rise in a sheet so wide it feels like the sea is lifting you with it. The mate stares over the bow as if the look on his face could hold the iron in place by itself. You feel the runes slacken. Not mercy exhaustion. The whale must breathe. There a tremor on the line. A lift. A world-sized body returning to the air that will not love it. Pull. Oars out. You dig for water with arms that stopped belonging to you an hour ago. 2 oars crack in their collars. The men curse without heat. No one stops. The whale blows. The breath from that hole in its head comes hot as broth, then red. A fountain. The boat steerer already has the second iron, ready the killing iron, though no one believes the name. He throws again. The whale answers with its tail. Everything comes apart: air, water, boat, the world turning white around a blade of black. The tail misses by a yard, and still the wind from it shoves you backward, drops of sea like nails on your face. Line, line, mind the bite. It snakes under a bench and leaps. The mate's hand flashes 1 turn, 2, and the slack becomes order again. Close with him, you claw forward over wet boards slicked with your own blood, with oil you cannot name yet, with whatever the sea puts on wood when it means to keep you humble. The lance lies under your knee where you stowed it. Short shaft, leaf blade, the finishing tool. The boat steerer stands again, calf shaking, eyes gone thin. He wants the soft place behind the fin, forward and down, where the blade can reach into the lung. Take him now. He leans and drives the lance with both hands, as if he means to climb inside the whale and push from within. The blade bites. The shaft quivers. Then the sound, not a cry, but a pressure, a moan that swells through your ribs, the world insisting you are smaller than you thought. Backwater. Give him boat. You pull in reverse to keep the bow from mounting the whale's back. If you ride him now, he lifts you and turns you end over end until the oars point where the sky used to be. The whale rolls. A fin rises black, ridged, scarred with old iron, and goes by like a wall. Blood thickens the sea. It ropes the oar, looms in muscle-red threads. It coats your lips with a taste that lives under your tongue long after the voyage is done. Again, the boat steerer strikes, and the lance disappears to the haft. When he pulls it free, the hole mouths, then spits a long jet of air and foam the color of heartwood. Chimney, the mate says under his breath. Death breath. You do not celebrate. Men who cheer early taste rope. The whale runs one last time, not fast now, but stubborn, a slow hammering tow that drags the boat through a field of its own blood. Then the tremor comes, a shudder that travels the line into your bones, as if the sea itself was shaking off a weight. He's going. The whale rolls onto its side. The eye shows once black glass, older storms, then turns down. Stand off. You rest your forehead on the loom. breath sawing in and out of a chest turned to salt and leather. No one speaks. The mate takes the wafer pole with a flagged head and plants it into the flesh, so the mothership can find you in all this grey. Tow him home. There is no home to tow to. There is only the ship, but the order makes men move. You ship the oars. You bend a second line to the fluke's 2 turns, a stopper knot, a spit to seal the luck. Then you begin pulling a thing larger than your hope through water that wants you both. It takes hours. The sea grows heavy again. Your shoulders pop. Your lower back becomes a complaint you cannot fix with strength. You pull anyway. By the time the ship slides close, men line her rail with faces that remember what hope used to feel like. The captain's hat finds his head. He looks 10 years younger for 3 breaths, and then exactly as old as he is. Cutting in, the order runs fore to aft. No joy in it, only the certainty of long work. You rig the cutting stage plank, hung over the rail on chains, slick as a butcher's floor. A man with a spade and a 2-hand flensing knife steps out where the ocean can take him for the price of 1 wrong weight shift. Hook on, heave away. The first strip comes like a miracle and a punishment, a blanket piece of fat 4 men wide, heavy as the truth. You chant the turn with the capstan men, heave, 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 and watch the strip climb the ship's side, roll the rail, and land on deck with a slap that shakes your teeth. Knives work. Spades bite. You stand mid-calf, in grease, and stop noticing that your boots have been full for hours. The cooper lays casks, ready, and curses anyone who drops a sliver where it can foul a seam. The surgeon lances blisters, because hands that can't close can't haul, and nobody can spare a man who can't haul. You eat where you stand, biscuits soft with blood, a mouthful of cold beef you can't taste, a swallow of beer that remembers fish. The head is the last of it. You tackle it with a tackle built to move masts block and fall groaning, timbers answering in a language older than your shipwright. The eyeball bursts when someone's heel slips. You pretend you didn't hear the men go quiet after. By night, the carcass is little more than ribs and rag, and the sea goes black again around it, a hole where a life was, filled with the same water that fills all the others. Gulls work the edges. Their feet go pink with the stain. No try-works burn aboard, not on a ship of this century, so the blubber lies stacked in tubs and tubs within tubs, salted as you dare, waiting for a stony beach and a day without wind when you can mount the iron pots on driftwood and let the fat boil itself to oil. Until then, the smell is a fact you live inside like weather. You wipe your knife on your sleeve and see the fabric take the grease and turn darker, as if it always meant to be this color. The captain walks the length of the rail and counts. Blanket pieces, casks, faces. He stops with the last of these, counts again. Who's off? The boat steerer points with his chin. A shape against the cutting stage's chain, a man whose fingers never uncurled from the line when the whale surged the second time. His hand is still a fist. It will always be a fist now. The captain nods once. Ledger later. He does not say the name. He does not have to. A ship knows its own dead, the way a mouth knows a broken tooth. By the time the deck is sluiced and the gear is stowed, you are light-headed with fatigue. Your palms shine where the fat sealed the cracks for now. They will split again at dawn. The mate passes his eye over the irons, 2 points bent, one shaved to sharp with a stone, one fit for the smith when you next see land. He doesn't praise. He doesn't scold. He rubs his thumb over a notch in the shank and sets it down with the others. Below, you peel your shirt away from your skin. Salt has sutured it to your shoulders. You lift it slow to keep from tearing flesh. The bunk takes you like water cold, absolute. You close your eyes, and the boat runs again behind your lids. The line humming, the oar looms bright with blood you cannot wash away. Somewhere overhead, a single boot crosses the deck. A pause, another step. The lantern guttering in the companionway throws a thin bar of light across the planks above your face. It wavers with the swell. It looks like a blade. Sleep if you can. You'll need the strength. Tomorrow you learn what it costs to keep a whale from rotting before you can find a beach to boil it. Tomorrow you learn the second truth of this trade. The killing is only the easy part. 3 days to find a shore that will hold you. Grey water to every horizon, wind cutting sideways through the rigging. The deck a slick map of blood and salted fat. The carcass rides astern, heavy as regret, a shapeless hulk that won't sink and won't let you forget what you've done. When land comes, it is a low line of stone and kelp. No harbour. Just a place hard enough to stand on while you turn meat into money. Anchors out, boats away. The ship groans as the tide drops, leaning toward its own shadow. Men drag the blubber ashore in blanket pieces that shine like wet lead. They stack driftwood and barrels, build a try-works from rocks and iron pots that leak at the seams. One spark, then another, and soon the beach burns with an orange haze you can taste. Boiling is slow murder by heat and smell. The oil hisses, pops, spits like flesh. Smoke curls inward so thick you breathe through cloth and still choke. Eyes sting, hair crusts with soot. You keep turning the trypots, because if the oil boils over it, burns the beach and every barrel you own. Downwind, the men scrape scraps from the bottom of the pots and throw them back into the fire. The scraps sizzle and roar black grease-feeding flame until it howls. The heat melts the buttons from your coat. Your skin tastes of salt and ash. A barrel bursts. Hot oil runs like lava down the sand. The cooper jumps clear, but his boots don't. He stands barefoot after, skin whitening where the grease kissed it. He laughs once, because if he doesn't, he will scream. By night, the shore glows like hell lit low. Whales burning for candles you'll never see. Oil for lamps in cities you'll never enter. Your hands shake from the cold, even beside flames that could cook the world. You roll the filled casks to the surf, brand each with the company, mark a simple cross. Sometimes a crown. Sometimes nothing but the letters of a man you'll never meet. They float briefly, then sink into the hold of the ship, the smell of fortune and death together. Rats find the beach before dawn. Gulls follow. You bury the offal deep, and still the ground moves for days. When the fires go out, everything is the same color: gray, brown, black. The sea, the sky, the faces of men. You sleep on stone because wood is too warm now, too close to burning. At first light, the captain gives the order: back aboard. The next hunt waits north. No rest in this trade, only the brief illusion that you've earned one. The tide rises, swallows the blackened beach. The smoke thins and carries out to sea a trail so wide and so rank that other ships will follow it for weeks, knowing some men burned here and some men lived just long enough to do it again. You look back once. The sand is still steaming. The bones of the whale gleam white in the tide, like a warning to any god who might care to watch. On deck, the wind freshens and the lines creak. You take your place at the oar, hands already stiffening around the shaft. The ship leans into the north. Behind you, the sea erases the beach until only smell remains. That is the scent of profit. That is the price of light. The barrels are stowed. The ropes are tarred. The ship turns homeward through a sea, the color of pewter. No one cheers. They've learned what joy costs. The wind veers north and drags the cold with it. Canvas hardens with frost until it claps like drumskin. You sleep beside casks that sweat oil through their seams. The smell works into your clothes, your hair, your dreams. Within a week, the blubber turns rancid. The heat of the tropic fires is gone, and what's left ferments in the hold sweet, rotting, slick. Rats fatten on it and grow brave enough to climb the hammocks at night. You wake to teeth on your boots. The surgeon's table never empties. Salt boils instead of medicine. A cut from a flensing knife puffs red by morning and black by dusk. You lose 2 fingers and the mate tells you it's a mercy. Water runs low. You drink from the casks once meant to hold beer, a soup of yeast, oil, and hope. Men cough up pink foam. They still row when the wind dies, because the alternative is thinking. Storm season finds you halfway across the Atlantic. Sails split like lungs. A mast goes by the board and takes the cooper with it. The captain marks another name in the ledger, ink blurring where the rain won't stop. The galley fire dies for lack of wood. Meals become hard biscuit, and what gulls you can shoot from the yard. You chew until your jaw locks. Your gums swell until you taste iron, even when you sleep. That's scurvy whispering, the quiet death that eats from the inside out. One night the oil leaks loose. A lantern swings. Flame walks the deck faster than reason. Buckets, blankets, curses, the storm takes care of what you can't. Rain douses the fire, but also douses half the men. The sea keeps them. By dawn the ship lists, wounded but afloat. The hold stinks of salt and loss. You pump until your hands bleed. The blood mixes with water, and no one can tell which is which anymore. That's why you wouldn't survive. Not because the whale would kill you, but because the voyage would. The months of rot, the fever in the bones, the silence between heartbeats, when you realize there's no shore near enough to matter. Weeks later, a harbor. Rope thrown, feet on cobble that feels wrong after so long. You walk like the deck still moves. The townsfolk step aside. They smell you before they see you. Payment comes in coin you'll never spend on land. Most men drink it. Some disappear back to sea because stillness feels like dying. The rest don't make it through winter. The ship leaves again before the moon changes. Different hands, same faces in different bodies. A trade that eats itself and calls it glory. You stand on the dock and watch her stern fade into fog. Somewhere out there, another whale breathes, and another crew swears it will be worth it. But you know better now. No one truly returns from the hunt. Only pieces of them do. The sea keeps the rest. If the echoes of this voyage still cling to you, let the fire fade, just a little. Tell us where you're listening from, and if you think you would have survived the voyage home. Like this tale, so it may drift farther on the current, and subscribe to hear where the next storm carries us. Now set the oars down. Let the ship's timbers sigh. Listen to the quiet after the sea stops talking, and be glad it's only silence you hear.